We are ready. We are starting. All right.
Entertainment.
Thank you, everyone, for coming out. This is the second anniversary My Life According to Rock Band event. I want to try and make this an annual thing to celebrate the whole book undertaking. Thank you, Mother, for holding out and displaying the book. But all of you pretty much know this, but yeah. Most of you know this. I wrote a book entitled My Life According to Rock Band, which is a coming-of-age story about all of the things that come with growing up, you know, puberty and hormones and alcohol for the first time and all that fun stuff in between. Music is there through it all, is the tagline of the book. And friendship, a lot of friendship, and that's kind of what I realized when writing about this entire thing. My goal today was, I asked Kyle 3 months ago, like, hey, can we do an anniversary party? Can we film it in my living room? And just like you and me, and maybe we get my roommate up there, and then it just goes on YouTube, and then that's it. And then I encountered my friend Dev, old Reason bartender, huge proponent of Rock Band from the very first day in 2017. Yes, round of applause for Dev. He's the man. The man. Over there behind. Buy lots of beer. Buy lots of beer for Dev. Great sandwiches here. But I was talking to Dev, and he said, what if we did this at Batesville Market, which is, serendipitously, the first stop of the My Tour According to Rock Band, where we've been setting up Rock Band at various breweries, promoting the book. And it was a great time here. We had a lot of fun, and it was a real good, you know, projection of what the future would look like, and the various venues we've been to throughout the years, I guess year and a half that we've been doing this. We want to keep doing it, and I am just most thankful for Kyle, Bex, Kenny, and Riley. Kyle is the one here today, so he gets to hear the appreciation. But they truly, I was just a nerd playing Rock Band in my living room before Riley came up to my office desk and saw me watching a video of a Rock Band party I threw, and Riley was like, what if we did this at a brewery? And that was 2017, and it has really escalated since then of where we have gone to, the lengths and distances. I could not do it without the four of them. They literally make my dreams come true. And just, I appreciate everyone for being here. Again, I was expecting to do this in front of one person in my living room, so it's really nice that we have an audience tonight. Also, a big shout out to tour attendees, Nicholas Bradshaw's in the back. Yes, big applause for Nick. Gold Star Kyle is currently not in attendance at the moment. He might be coming for the Rock Band portion, as he does. Nick will literally look up, I'll post a poll a week out of what songs do you want us to open with. And Nick will show up with the harmonies learned for each of the four options. Flawless. Yeah, he's always great to have around. Appreciate you, buddy. So when I decided to do this, I wanted to, one, reflect on the book and reflect on what I've learned from it after writing it. You know, it's mostly about teenage years and all this angst you kind of lose after you turn 30. You're not really upset about things as much anymore. But you are at the time, and I wanted to remember it, and I didn't want it to, you know, they say if you ignore history, it repeats itself or something like that. I didn't do that good in history, but I think that's the slogan. So I wanted to start all of these with one song, and it's going to be different every time I do it. And keep in mind, everything I'm doing before you is improvised. I jotted down random notes. I started doing an actual spreadsheet, like what I'm going to do, and then I was like, this is too much like work. So I jotted down just random bullet points, and I don't even remember what half of them mean. So I'm just going to totally improvise today. But I do want to open each one of these segments with a song that I'm feeling like reminds me of the book, most of all at this stage in my life. Today, or as I stand before you, I'm 31 years old. The book ends in 2018 when I'm 25 years old. So you look back on your teenage years differently each time, and it's different every time you look back on it. This song specifically stuck out to me. I went to see the band Brand New at the Norva in 2014. Yes, a huge, one of the top 5 best shows I've ever been to, one of the best bands ever. And I was so excited for the show. It was sold out. It sold out in minutes. I was lucky enough to get tickets. It was insane. The energy was truly unparalleled. The mosh pits were next level. And Jesse Lacey, the singer, played this song, which is a deep cut, unreleased. I know, Jimmy, that's the right reaction to have. Exactly. But I heard all the lyrics, and it's just one of those moments, you have like 3 of them in your life where you're like, this song is speaking to me. This song is about me right now. And I guess I'm just going to play it, and then I'll talk about it afterward. But the song is called Moshi Moshi. I think I'm crazy, baby, let you off the hook too easy. If you were a telephone, you'd still be off the hook. This is my last leg, been awake for days. In a minute I'll die of starvation. I'll come back a ghost, back to haunt you and float around your room. What do I do when you get close? If I kiss your neck, would you slit my throat? Are you thinking of me when you're putting on your makeup, darling? Tying your hair like you do. Well, you're wasting your time if you're trying to impress me. I waste all my time just thinking of you. And I keep imagining how you give me the shivers. Stand at top of my waist in your river. You're the sweetest boat builder I think I've ever seen. Dreaming Japanese, some language I don't even know how to speak. You're so pretty and I'm so choked up, it's probably just the same. The more I hang around you, the more hang-ups I get. Are you thinking of me when you're putting on your makeup, darling? Tying your hair like you do. Well, you're wasting your time if you're trying to impress me. I waste all my time just thinking of you. I know that you're an angel, but you could never stay true. Hey angel, think your halo has a screw loose, 'cause you dropped me like a brick from the rooftop of your high school. Can I watch the next time you're applying your eyeliner? I waste all my time just thinking of you. I waste all my time just thinking of you. That's the first song. I'm going to do it. And basically, what I have learned from writing the book is that in college, like, my biggest vice was, like, my addiction was serial monogamy. Like, just professing my love to strangers. And my friends, like, had really cool, like, bad habits, like smoking or, weed and getting drunk in class during the day. And I was like, I'm going to go tell this stranger that I love them. So I was kind of just reading through the book, and I was deciding what stuff to read today. And I was like, this is all really embarrassing. Why did I do this to myself? But we do it because I don't want to forget. And I don't want to repeat the mistakes. And I want to learn from them. I don't want to pretend they didn't happen. It all happened. And I want to just kind of honor the naive kid I was. He was doing it for what he thought were the right reasons at the time, and I don't want to abandon that. So basically, I wrote this book, and we've been doing the tour, and I guess this is a good segue to first chapter. I'm going to read about the greatest band that ever lived.
Motley Crue.
Not quite. They are called the Crazy Unicorns. I had this book release party in 2022, and it was at Reason Beer. It was one of the last big shindigs Reason had other than the New Year's party before it closed. And tons of people came out. Again, similar to this, I was expecting to do this in front of one person, and I filled a room. Reason was unreal too, because the story the book primarily follows me, my best friend Keith, who I think is on his way, but he's stuck in massive traffic at the moment, and Keith's sister Delynn, and her boyfriend, now husband, Chris. And high school was tough. It was a tough time, and I remember under the Christmas tree, 2007, freshman year of high school, I opened Rock Band Special Edition, Band in the Box, got everything, and that made everything better. Life was so much better when I played it. And I wrote in detail how it made my life much better. I'm going to read you one of those stories right now. That's going to highlight the Crazy Unicorns, which is the band that is highlighted consistently throughout the book. And it was also fun to the actual release party. Chris and Delynn drove 8 hours to surprise me. I knew Keith would be there. He wouldn't miss it for the world. But Chris and Delynn have 2 children now, and they lived 8 hours away. And they still made it. They showed up. We had our first Crazy Unicorns reunion show in 10 years, and it was unreal. Really special day. I'll never forget it. One of the best days of my life. Anyway, here's why I think so fondly of them. Say It Ain't So by Weezer, December 2007. Things are good, or so I hear. Dude, you're not gonna believe it. I got Rock Band for Christmas, I shouted over the phone to my best friend. No way, that's awesome, Keith shouted back. Did you get all the instruments? It came with all the instruments, dude. I've been playing all day for the past couple of days. You have to bring that over here when you visit tomorrow. Chris and Delynn are here for the whole week. They'll probably play with us. I had met Keith in preschool. The story, as I remember, is that my mother dropped me off for my very first day, and Keith soon approached me to ask if I wanted to play with him. I don't remember any other details from that day, but ever since then, Keith and I have been best friends, like actual best friends. Not just the friend you're most fond of, but your family. Some believe you can have more than one best friend, or that you can just hand out the honor to whomever you're texting most frequently that month. Those people are wrong. Keith and I were like brothers, which made his sister Delynn my sister. She was 4 years older than us, and she often looked out for us and gave us sage, older sibling advice. I had not met her boyfriend, Chris, yet, but I hope he liked Rock Band. For those of you who have never played Rock Band, it's quite simple. You have 3 plastic instruments and 1 microphone. You can have up to 3 microphones in order to do vocal harmonies, but that technology didn't come out till in about 2010. After you pick a song, notes will visually stream at you on the screen. If you hit a note on your instrument at the time it comes up on the screen, it explodes and you get points. If you miss a note, the game makes a discordant noise to indicate that you are ruining the song. There are 4 levels of difficulty you can play: easy, medium, hard, and expert. The lower the difficulty, the slower the notes appear in front of you, and the fewer there are. And by the time you're ready for expert, it should feel like you're playing the song in full. When you finish the song, you're told the percentage of total notes you hit along with the rating of 1 to 5 stars. If you're playing on expert level, you can receive gold stars when you do exceptionally well. If you miss too many notes, you will be kicked out of the song until you are saved by a bandmate who has accumulated enough points or overdrive to save you. If one or more members of the band are out of the song for too long, the song will end and the simulated audience will start booing you, and your band will be asked to restart the song or pick another. There's a no fail mode option for drunk people and newbies of the game. I always have it turned on whenever I throw a Rock Band party. Nothing kills your buzz faster than you give love a bad name stopping halfway through because some asshole stopped playing bass while he spilled his beer on the girl he's been flirting with all night. Dude, this game is amazing, Keith said as we finished playing through Wanted Dead or Alive by Bon Jovi. Keith was on drums and I had taken the guitar. My family moved away from Keith's when I was in the 1st grade. Because we were so fond of each other, our mothers made a point to make sure we could visit each other at least twice a year. During the summer, Keith would come to my house for a couple weeks, and during the winter, I would go to his. Once we got older, we were able to plan visits ourselves. We went to each other's family vacations so often that we were each considered honorary family member by not only each other's parents, but their extended family as well. When we weren't spending time with our families, we were playing video games. The basement in which we now played Rock Band had already housed us for over a decade and entertained us for countless hours. "Let's name our band Static X," Keith exclaimed. "How did you think of that?" I asked, tightening my guitar strap. "It's one of my favorite bands. I listen to them on the way to school, like every day." Keith clearly did not understand the whole be your own unique musician aspect of the game yet. At the time, he was still a young teenage kid with a passion for skateboarding and Wayne Static. We had just finished playing our song when a stranger entered the room. "Was that Bon Jovi?" the stranger asked, wide-eyed. "You know it," I nodded. "Hell yeah," he said, grabbing the microphone. "I'm singing the next song." "This is Chris, Dylan's boyfriend," Keith said. You know those moments when you meet someone and you're immediately gonna know you're gonna get along? Before Chris, Dylan had dated a guy named James. He seemed like a cool guy at first, but then the last summer, he had suggested we see Adam Sandler's Click in theaters, so he clearly wasn't the one. "Hi," I said shyly. "Whoa, they have Weezer on here? That's what we're playing next," Chris said, scrolling through the song menu. After the three of us had spent a few minutes scrolling through the song library and talking about killer tunes, Dylan found her way downstairs. Her eyes lit up when she saw the screen. "No way, you guys got Rock Band?" "Dylan, we need you. I can't do both the foot pedal and play the drums," Keith said, holding his shin in pain. And just like that, the rest was history. The four of us played Rock Band for nearly 5 days straight, pausing only for food, sleep, and bathroom breaks. We even peed with the door open so we could sing along with the songs. Well, everyone but Dylan did. At the time, we had only found about 50 songs and no downloadable content, so the few songs in our catalog became a bit redundant, especially at the beginning when we hadn't unlocked a majority of the catalog. We must have played this game's starting song, "Say It Ain't So," over 40 times. I had liked Rock Band before, but now I loved it. I held down guitar, Keith took drums, Chris sang, and Dylan switched between vocals and drums. We named our band the Crazy Unicorns, and we were taking off. We would start nearly every virtual show with Weezer's amazing 90s guitar riff, and every time the chorus hit, Keith and I would bang our heads and shout the titular line, "Say it ain't so." I had never heard anything quite like that chorus in the 4 years of my actively listening to music. By the end of the week, the four of us were inseparable. Like every band at the beginning of their career, we had dreams of playing music with each other for the rest of our lives. In a basement full of empty Mountain Dew cans, bean bags we frequently slept on, and 4 music-loving teenagers, the Crazy Unicorns were born. That's the first story. This was a long ordeal. I started writing this when I would basically just jot down journal entries, and then I accidentally ran out of credits that I needed to take in college. Or I needed 3 more, and I just had to fill it with a random class. I randomly darted aboard creative nonfiction writing. Wrote 27 short story little book called One, which was based off the Beatles' #1 album, which is the Beatles' 27 greatest hits, #1s in the world everywhere, and each song was a different story. And I wrote it. I made my classmates print it out. We would each write a long paper. This was one of the 3 assignments in the entire semester. So they had to print out 20 pages and just basically read it and tell me what they thought the next day. And all the reviews were, as soon as I saw that I had to print out a 20-page paper to read and critique the next day for class, I was fuming. But then I read it, and I can honestly say this is the best thing I have read in this class, professional and non-professional, all semester long, which really made me feel great. My professor was very supportive. He was going to be here today. Jason Isbell is tonight. Hard competition. But he's been nothing but the most supportive. You'll actually see him, his name is on the blurb, on the very front of the book, Jay Varner. He has also published a book, Nothing Left to Burn. Go check it out, it's really good. But I took that class, And then I just had a difficult summer. The following summer, I was in a bad relationship, and my grandfather passed away shortly after. It was just like one thing after the other, and it just all piled on. So I was like, I'm going to write this down because it's much healthier than drinking all day every day and figuring out how to get a job because I'm unemployed for. Isn't it crazy how college, like everything is just planned out for you up until that point, and then you graduate and it's like, figure it out. You got it. You'll know it. And I didn't know it. It took me a year. But eventually, all of the struggles paid off. I wrote a book. And I started writing this in 2017, January 2017. I finished writing it February 2018. The very rough draft. I shopped it around, I sent it to friends, all very similar reactions, like, this is better than I thought it would be. And they gave me critiques, and an important thing I found out about that time, because when you write something like this, you're telling your stories, they're your memories, and if someone's like, that's not how it should go, I'm like, well, shit, that's how I lived it. Bill Hader, I was around the same time, was shooting the show Barry, really great HBO show if you've seen it. And he has a great quote that I'm going to paraphrase right now. But he said, 90% of the time, when people are telling you something needs to be replaced or edited in a book, they are right. However, 90% of the time, when people tell you to replace something with something else, they are wrong. So what they think you should replace it with is often not correct, which I could not have found more helpful in that time of trying to write and publish this book. Because so many people were saying, this won't work. And I realize that now in hindsight. But they were like, switch it with something else. Tell a happy story that happened in this time period. And I was like, that's not how 2015 went for me, Doc. So I sent it to, I shopped around for an entire year, sent it to various publishing houses. And you need a literary agent to publish a book, apparently, which I didn't know. And a literary agent is basically like an agent for actors or whatever. They shop around your book for you. And I sent it to 100 literary agents. Exactly. I was like, I'm going to hit 100 and then I'm going to stop. And all of them, if they responded, about 50% responded, about 10% were very polite and courteous and helpful, and the rest were the worst advice I've ever received in my life. And they were all like, well, we would like to represent you, but we would have rather had you written a book already to represent you. And I said, oh, well then I wouldn't need you, would I, if I had a published book? So I reached out, my good friend Taylor Ballard, who has been on the tour recording to Rock Band several times, very helpful there. His brother published a children's book, and they were super helpful with introducing me to Brandy Lane Books in Richmond, which is a co-publishing house. For those of you who don't know, a co-publishing house is the writer finances half the project, and the publishing house finances the other half, and they recoup their money by taking a portion of all the books you sell forever. Which, as a young, starving writer, that sounded like a great deal, because they read my manuscript, and they were like, this is great, we have some edits, but we think it's got legs. It could work as a book. So I was like, okay, tell me what you need. And basically, I actually opened that email. Me, John, and Marshall were on our way to Biloxi for the second time, and I opened it on the car ride, right turning into Marshall's apartment. I was ecstatic. It was 2020, so already a terrible year for everyone. Terrible, I'd lost my job, all this stuff, and then I get that email. I go in, and Marshall's like, I'm going to buy us some champagne, we're going to celebrate. Then we went to Biloxi, and Marshall lost $20,000. That's what he gets for not showing up today. I can talk about it. But I sent it to the publishing house, and I originally had it formatted like 500 Days of Summer. I wanted the stories to be sporadic, all over the place, in no sequential order. There was going to be a consistent theme. And then she read my editor, very sweet lady named Mary. She read it, and she's like, I like all the individual stories, but I don't understand them as a whole really at all. So I was like, okay, well, this is kind of my vision. She's like, just hear me out, try and organize them and see what it does. And organizing it took some time. That was already an edit in itself. And I did, and it read so much better. I'm so glad she gave me that advice. It would have been incoherent otherwise, especially, if you're writing a 500 Days of Summer book, you assume you're Joseph Gordon-Levitt, like a very famous, popular actor, and I am not. So that was really good advice, and I got the go-ahead to edit, and editing took longer than the writing process, oddly enough. But they do say that you're supposed to spend twice as long editing. And I had spent 6 months editing up to that point, thinking like, that's my edit, 6 months sure was a long time. And they're like, no, you've just started. So I edited for another 12 to 18 months, essentially. Periodically, they would send me notes, and I'd send it back to them, and it was a huge back and forth. They were super cooperative the entire time. I couldn't have asked for a better experience publishing it. Then, we started doing the tour, and I started thinking about, like, what does the book look like now that I'm, out of adolescence and not sad about upsetting things every day. And then I think about, like, what are the constants I've had? And my BFF Keith has always been one of the constants. He's sitting back there, that handsome man with his wife. I'm going to read a story about us that takes us way back to March 2009, called Train Kept A-Rollin' by Aerosmith. Train kept a-rollin' all night long. Keith spent almost every pre-college spring break at my house, and for years we spent those 5 perfect days the same way. We would wake up at noon, grill burgers for lunch, play video games all day, go outside for 30 minutes because my mom made us, eat dinner, watch either Digimon the Movie, Home Alone, Galaxy Quest, or Die Hard, go to sleep, and repeat. For our 10th grade spring break, we decided to shake up the routine a bit and do the impossible, the endless set list. Every Rock Band game has an endless set list challenge at the end. This entails playing every song on the disc from start to finish, consecutively. As the set list progresses, the songs get more and more difficult. We had yet to attempt Rock Band's endless set list, but nearly 18 months after we began playing the game that would definitively change our lives, we felt we were ready. We'd each received Rock Band 2 a few months prior. Keith found his copy a week before Christmas while snooping around his parents' bedroom closet. He'd called me after school one day so he could open the box discreetly and tell me what the new instruments looked like, what they smelled like. He was so descriptive. I had waited until Christmas Day like a good Catholic boy, despite knowing my mother had hidden my copy under a blanket in my father's tool shed.
Which you never go into.
I saw her hide it when she came in. It's like, oh, what's she unloading from the car today? By the time spring break rolled around, we'd had 3 months of practice. We had mastered every song on the disc, and we were ready to take on Rock Band 2's 84-song endless set list. We buckled down for what we calculated would be a minimum 8 consecutive hours of Rock Band. The time would increase if we took bathroom breaks or food breaks. If one of us missed too many notes on a song, he would be dropped out of the song until the other person earned enough points to bring him back. If a player was out of the song for longer than 30 seconds, the song would end, and we would be asked to replay the song. We had practiced the entire day before and reviewed all the difficult songs earlier that morning. Keith played bass while I played guitar, just like we did whenever we played with Chris and Delin. We chose to play expert difficulty, and we agreed not to stop at any point for any reason because we would lose our flow and because we were professionals. Okay, I'm gonna hit start, I said, clutching my plastic guitar. Are you sure you don't need to pee? No, stop asking. You're the one who pees every 30 minutes. I do not. You're like a goddamn woman. I bet we don't even get through 5 songs before you have to pee. I'm started. I tightened my guitar strap. Cool, let's do this. About 20 minutes later, I realized we weren't even 5% through the set list, and it started to set in for both of us just how long this would actually take. But we kept playing. By the time we got to track 6, Duran Duran's Hungry Like the Wolf, I had to pee. Songs like Cheap Trick's Hello There were short enough to give us the confidence we needed to press on with our task. But songs like Bad Company's Shooting Star really dragged on and made us question our decision to do this list in the first place. When we got to the Go-Go's, We Got the Beat, my friend Bruce called. I wasn't able to pick up the phone and call him back until the drum solo toward the end of the song. I held the phone between my ear and shoulder as I played the remainder of the song. I could barely hear him ask if we wanted to hang out over the loud 80s distortion of Jane Wilden's flawless pop-punk power chords. When I told him what we were doing, he lost all interest in spending time with us. One of the worst stretches of songs we had was Teenage Riot by Sonic Youth, arguably the most boring song to play in the Rock Band 2 catalog, immediately followed by Shackler's Revenge by Guns N' Roses. Keith couldn't seem to complete the bass part in that song without failing out. After about 17 tries, we finally got to the song that were always fun to play, no matter how cramped our hands got. Spoon Man by Soundgarden, Everlong by Foo Fighters, and Battery by Metallica gave us the energy we needed to play the final stretch of the set list. After more than 8 hours, only 3 songs remained: Panic Attack by Dream Theater, Painkiller by Judas Priest, and a third song we had unfortunately not accounted for. We hadn't thought to practice it because we had not unlocked it yet. We hadn't unlocked it yet because neither of us had heard of the goddamn song, and therefore never had a desire to play it during the virtual world tour, which is how we unlocked every other song on the list. That was our biggest mistake. Out of nowhere, the third to last track was some awful grindcore black metal, death metal called Visions. The guitar and bass played nonsensical noise alongside intense deep screams. The crazy riffs sent Keith and I back to a time when we had first started playing the game, despite years of practice and countless hours of playing the game. We were instantly novices again. We both failed out immediately. We tried again and again, and eventually made it past the song's first bridge. But the non-melodic riffs, the sporadic drum beat that sounded like Animal from the Muppets was having a stroke, and a vocal melody comparable to that of a blender made the song unplayable. After an hour, we decided to quit. 10 hours of our lives went down the drain. A full day wasted. We still consider it our greatest defeat to this day. Right after that, we did what any pissed-off 16-year-olds would do. We left a hateful comment on the song's YouTube video. The admin of the page responded to the comment the next day saying, "Nobody cares." We have not attempted an endless set list since. Until tonight. Keith, what are you doing tonight? Sick. Looking back on it, what I've learned, there's this kid who comes into the theater pretty frequently, 18-year-old guy, high school, just graduated high school, super nice kid. Talk about movies, all this stuff. I see a little bit of myself in him. Yesterday, literally less than 24 hours ago, he came up to me. He's like, "I think I'm gonna go get a tattoo." He's like, "Okay, you just turned 18, more power to you, but like, do you have a plan?" I'm like, "Nah, I'm gonna get a spontaneous tattoo." It's like, "Are you sure? Because that's permanent. That is on your body forever, and you're 18. It's like, "Yeah, this girl I'm dating right now said it would look really cool." I was like, "There it is." Fortunately, I was not dumb enough to do anything so nonsensical at the time, but I definitely had that, as I mentioned earlier, addicted to serial monogamy and professing my love to strangers and ruining various friendships and relationships because of doing whatever they say. I'm going to read a story shortly about that. There's a really good quote from a Bayside song called "On Love on Life." And that's going to be maybe the song I play next year. I felt like Moshi Moshi was better for this year, from what I've learned. But the quote is, "I never felt so old and lonely as I felt when I was young and in love." And that is so profound for like a Warped Tour pop punk band. Like, mind blown. I'd been listening to that song for 6-7 years before I heard that lyric and it actually set in. And basically I told this kid, like, "Hey, are you sure you want to get a tattoo?" He said, "Yes." It's like, "All right, well, I'm not your mother. Go do it, kid." And he did. It was a very tiny tattoo, and he was very happy with it. And next year, I'm going to tell you the end of that story, because the ending hasn't happened yet. We're going to see how the tattoo feels and if he's still together with his girlfriend. At least he's not 16. You want to show the people your Godsmack tattoo there, Keith? He also got it from a professional because he could. That was helpful. That was a pro. So a large chunk of the book is about this relationship I had in college with a girl named Laura, and was kind of just the thing that made me start jotting down stories, essentially, because I was getting 2 hours of sleep a night, not healthy. I was working 2 jobs to pay for all of my various shenanigans and school, the serious stuff. And I would go home, I couldn't walk home, it was too far away. So I'd go to the Grafton projection booth, the movie theater where I worked, and I would sleep on the couch for 30 minutes after I had been up for a few hours. And I would listen to Bright Eyes, I'm Wide Awake, It's Morning in full, and then sleep during it, kind of stay semi-awake. And then I would wake up and go back to work, do my thing. But all those songs really set in with me, and I just, it all clicked basically with that. So not the best time. I'm going to read you a story that's going to kind of reflect that a little bit. But here we go. This is a story based off the song Danny California by the Red Hot Chili Peppers. June 2015, Too True to Say Goodbye to You. During our time together, I gave Laura 3 mix CDs. Best Mix Ever, Volume 1, Euro Laura, and Charlottesville. The day before I had left for spring break in 2015, I had invited her over to play Rock Band, and we ended up talking about mix CDs for an hour. I promised her right then and there I would make her the best mix CD she had ever heard. I had spent what little downtime I had during my vacation making her this CD, and this is what I came up with. Crazy One by Rivers Cuomo, When I'm With You by Best Coast, Whistle for the Choir by the Fratellis, First Day of My Life by Bright Eyes, If I Had a Gun by Noel Gallagher's High Flying Birds, Songbird by Oasis, Rosie by the Kooks, I For You by the All-American Rejects, She's Always a Woman by Billy Joel, Jesus Christ by Brand New, I'm on Fire by Bruce Springsteen, Fields of Gold by Sting, In the Aeroplane Over the Sea by Neutral Milk Hotel, Swallowed by the Sea by Coldplay, Unsteady by Ex-Ambassadors, Restez Avec Moi by Codeine Velvet Club, Linger by the Cranberries, Dreaming of You, The Coral, Friday I'm in Love by The Cure, National Anthem by the Gaslight Anthem, Rocks and Razor Blades by Next Bus to Wrongtown, and In My Life by the Beatles. As soon as I gave it to her, she went home and immediately put it in her DVD player, the only device she had that still played CDs, and listened to the whole thing in 80 minutes. Then she texted me saying it was in fact the best mix CD she had ever heard. I gave her Euro Laura the day before she had left for Europe, and wrote the Kooks lyrics, I see the sun rising, and all you see is it fall, 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 on the disc. I had filled the CD with long-distance love songs and spent the entire summer listening to them, hoping she was also listening to them and thinking of me. 2,000 Light Years Away by Green Day, Jet Lag by Simple Plan, Here Without You by Three Doors Down, Across the Sea by Weezer, Back to Me by the All-American Rejects, God Only Knows by the Beach Boys, Please Mr. Postman by the Beatles, She's Got Away by Billy Joel, We Are Nowhere and It's Now by Bright Eyes, Warning Sign by Coldplay, Earth Angel by Death Cab for Cutie, Carry You by Dispatch, All I Have to Do Is Dream by the Everly Brothers, Girl I Can't Forget by Fountains of Wayne, Old Black and Blue Eyes by the Fratellis, See the Sun by the Kooks, Run by Snow Patrol, America by Simon and Garfunkel, I'll Follow You by Shinedown, and The Calendar by Panic in the Disco. The third CD was named Charlottesville to commemorate a spontaneous trip we took to its namesake. We listened to it on the way there, and we listened to it on the way back, and then when we used it for background music in the car for other things when we got back to my apartment's parking lot. Calico Skies by Paul McCartney, Things I'll Never Say by Avril Lavigne, You're All I Need by Motley Crue, Baby Doll by the Fratellis, If That's What It Takes by Bon Jovi, Moshi Moshi by Brand New, Mean Old Moon by Amanda Seyfried, Action Cat by Gerard Way, Stray Heart by Green Day, Waiting for You by Grisfolk, Madness by Muse, Always by Panic at the Disco, Married with Children by Oasis, Skin by 6 a.m., Make a Plan to Love Me by Bright Eyes, Lost in You by 3 Days Grace, Hesitate by Stone Sour, and Fix You by Coldplay. I know what you're thinking. Why the hell do all these mix CDs have Bon Jovi's Simple Plan and goddamn Avril Lavigne on it? First of all, I'm a big fan of songs with a catchy hook. Second of all, go screw yourself. You think you're hot stuff because you like Arcade Fire and you're too good to throw on a Shinedown record once in a while? I can like Talking Heads and put Motley Crue ballads on my mix CDs, so piss off. The goal of these mixes was to fill mine and Laura's head with catchy melodies that we couldn't get out of our brains, hoping that the songs would bring us thoughts of each other. Once you get a good chorus stuck in your head, you'll either obsess over it or it will drive you absolutely insane. And honestly, isn't that all love really is? I hate airports. On my way back from what was arguably the best vacation of my life in Germany, I had what was definitely the worst airline experience of my life. I saved $100 on a plane ticket by accepting an 11-hour layover in London. I didn't think much of it when I bought them. I just thought I'd be happier with the $100 than without it. This was not the case. I got to London at 10 p.m. only to find out that the airport closed at midnight. I couldn't pay for a hotel because I only had American money, but mostly because I only had $6 of American money. I had to go through security check where a man with a thick British accent asked me if I had Ebola 8 times. He then made sure I was an American citizen and not just some European moocher trying to cash in on that sweet, sweet US healthcare system. As soon as I got past the interrogation portion of my trip, I had to run and catch what ended up being the final metro ride of the night, which transported me back to the only part of the airport where travelers were allowed to sleep. I got there right at midnight, found a bench between two homeless people, and set my backpack down, firmly establishing eminent domain. And then began to write a very important email, an email that I was very nervous about sending. Laura's 21st birthday was in 1 hour. I had promised her the best birthday gift she could ever ask for and told her I would send it via email right at midnight. Mix CDs would no longer cut it. I decided to spend many of my anxious days and sleepless nights back home writing her a song that would finally explain to her how much she meant to me. It was called Dizzy Lung. I don't know if you've ever written a song for someone, but I assure you it's infinitely harder than writing a song about someone. I had written countless songs about Eileen and other girls I had feelings for. All I had to do was play chords and talk about what was going through my head. Easy. Writing a song for someone is an exhausting procedure where you pour everything you've got into one little piece of art and hope that the person you're gifting it to feels a level of joy comparable to the level of emotion you're tearing from your soul in order to write it. It was a simple song with a simple chord progression, but it said everything I wanted to say. The difficult part of this whole thing was seeing whether or not she felt the same way I did. I connected to the airport Wi-Fi, attached my recorded song file to the email. I then got on Facebook and messaged Laura. She was currently in Italy, and the clock had just struck midnight. It seemed as if she had been waiting for me online because I got a response about 10 seconds later. Hey, she messaged back. Happy 21st, Laura. I hope you like your present. I typed and clicked send on the email. The song was around 4 minutes long, and I waited anxiously for her to tell me what she thought. In the meantime, my brain told me what it thought. Oh, this sucks. She hates it. You wasted your insomnia on this BS when you could have been drinking and watching Reno 911. Then, after almost the exact length of the song, she wrote back, Cade, it's perfect. I absolutely love it. I'm glad, I replied. I probably added a dumb emoji as well. This is the nicest thing anyone has ever done for me. Then she told me she loved me. Then she told me she was in love with me. After several weeks of wondering if she felt the same way about me as I did about her, I was elated to see those words. It was a kind of strange sensation. If you had told me 3 months ago that this was going to happen, I would have shouted from my balcony how happy I was. I would have run through the town of Harrisonburg, a Christmas Carol style, hugged everybody, and thrown what little money I had at children and the elderly. I was that happy in that moment, but after 3 months of anxiety-induced insomnia, the happiness translated to a wave of calm. I finally felt at peace, and that was arguably just as good a feeling. I remember how I had overstepped my bounds with Penny, so I responded to Laura with a suave, "Ha, glad to hear it. I feel the same way." We talked for a little bit longer, mostly about how much we missed each other. Then she said she had to go to sleep to be ready for the big trip her group was going on, they were taking in the morning. And I didn't want the conversation to end, but I said goodnight. And for the first time all summer, I felt optimistic. Laura was the one. She had told me she loved me. There was no way to misinterpret that. Everything in that moment, in that terrible airport, with the terrible layover, in my terrible bed that was a bench for the evening, was absolutely perfect. I fell asleep on the bench listening to Dizzy Lung on repeat. It was the best night's sleep I had all summer long. All right. So, as you found out in that story, I wrote a song. I put the song lyrics in the book. I've never played the song ever, not even at the book release party. I'm going to play it today, and I have not practiced this at all. It's going to sound probably bad. I didn't want to play it for the longest time because, yeah, I played it, I showed it to her, she loved it, and then 2 weeks later, you know young love, and she's like, my new boyfriend bought me rocks or something. Whatever. But I got what I think is a good song out of it, so I'm going to play it. I'm going to try not to butcher it. And Kyle's going to get the whole thing footage. This was one of the main things I wanted, you know, in my show for one in my living room that I was planning on doing for the anniversary. But I have all these people to listen to it. And this is the first time the song has ever been played in public, and the first time I have ever sang it in years. So here we go.
Sister or two, won't you tell me stories about your plans and schemes and how I wanna be there for you? She wants to write all her novels, I wanna write out of tune. She hung up the phone and said she had to go before I said I'll be there for you. I'm overwhelmed by this feeling, my dizzy lung I can't move. But maybe someday I'll take your breath away, because I'll always be there for you. I wrote a song for her Tuesday. By Friday I had 32. She hung up the phone and said she had to go before I said I'll be there for you. I sleep alone, I get nervous, I wake up in a sweaty pool. If you break my heart, I'll go move away far until I need to be there for you. And if I ever break your heart, I just don't know what I'd do. I'd go on thinking that you'd be there for me, because I'll always be there for you. I'm overwhelmed by this feeling, my dizzy lung I can't breathe. But maybe someday I'll take your breath away, and then you'll always be there for me. And all the days they
didn't mess it up as bad as I thought I was going to. You guys like that song way more than Laura.
Wait 2 weeks.
Yeah, give it 2 weeks. So, reaching the tail end of the non-rock band playing portion of the day. But I got a couple tricks left up my sleeve. I'm going to read one more short story, and then I'm going to play one more song. Thank you all again for coming out. This is awesome. I never expect to play as many people as end up showing up. My father's given me a lot of bad advice over the years, but I will say the best advice I've ever received, you're only as good as the company you keep. I'm solid. I'm great. That's great advice. Everyone always shows up and supports me wherever I go. Got a deep bench of friends, and it means the world that you guys keep coming to these things. Love you guys. All right, I'm gonna read one of the penultimate stories. This one kind of ties it together for those of you who haven't read the book. But I kind of, the editor let me keep a bit of a 500 Days of Summer kind of ending to it, flow. So the last three, I guess, chapters are told out of sequence, much like that movie. And they flash back after all of the bad growing up and childhood angst and everything comes through. I flash back to 3 of my best memories with my best friends, the Crazy Unicorns. So I'm going to read one of those stories that kind of sums it all up. Flirtin' with Disaster by Molly Hatchet, December 2009. We choose our destiny. Over our first year with the game, Keith, Chris, Dylan, and I got good at Rock Band. We got really good at Rock Band. By 2009, Rock Band 2, Beatles Rock Band, and Lego Rock Band had all come out. And you better believe I had all of them, as well as a large majority of the hundreds of bonus downloadable songs. We bought a second guitar, so there was an instrument for everyone. I took guitar, Keith took bass, and Dylan was our drummer, and Chris held down the lead vocals as the frontman of the Crazy Unicorns. We would switch it up every now and then. For instance, there would be times when a song had rapping in it, and Dylan would take over vocals. Chris has said time and time again, there is nothing better in the world than watching Dylan rap. We eventually all started playing at expert level difficulty. Keith knew he was professional the second he finished Hysteria by Muse on expert without failing. He told everyone he knew for a week straight. We each had a go-to song we would always choose when we got to make our own set list or choose something for quick play. Mine was Livin' on a Prayer by Bon Jovi. Keith's was Best of You by Foo Fighters. Chris's was Detroit Rock City by Kiss. And Dylan always chose Maps by the Yeah Yeah Yeahs. For that one, Dylan would play drums and sing the chorus. Chris would get down on his knees and look at Dylan while she sang, and Dylan would try not to let her smile distract her from the notes on the screen. Every now and then, we had to hang up the plastic instruments. Whether it was all of us taking a break to go to the movies, Dylan and Chris selfishly not inviting Keith and I to date night, or a variety of family vacations, there were a handful of times we had to find different ways to spend time together. In one particular instance in 2009, Chris and I were left to our own devices while Keith and Dylan went on a quick visit to see their grandmother. We watched TV, played foosball, and eventually got bored enough to try playing Rock Band by ourselves. It was still fun, but it wasn't the same without the full band. It was kind of like Tom DeLonge leaving Blink-182 to focus on Angels and Airwaves. They were still making music, but at what cost? No, absolutely not, Chris said, looking at the song choice on the TV screen. We can't do Timmy and the Lords of the Underworld or Chinese Democracy? I whined. That whole album is trash. Guns N' Roses used to be good. I will argue that this album is good overall, but bad for a Guns N' Roses record, I said. That's a bad argument, Chris replied, scrolling through the song list for better options. I don't know what it is, I continued, ignoring him. Keith and I just really like it. Chris scoffed. Keith used to like the Black Eyed Peas and thinks Bam Margera is a musician. You're both wrong. How about some Bon Jovi, I compromised. He shrugged. Can't go wrong there, which one? How about Livin' on a Prayer? Let's do it, he agreed, prepping the drum kit. You know, I listen to this song every day on the bus ride to school this semester. Really? I mean, it's a great song, but I don't know about every day. Maybe if it was Wanted Dead or Alive. I mean, it wasn't so much the song itself. Every time I listen to it, I think about us playing it, and I would literally count down the days until I could visit you guys for winter break. That's some intense dedication to the band, Chris said. I mean, I don't really like high school, and I'm sure I've said it before, but I know I still have a year and a half left, and I'm willing to bet that the Crazy Unicorns will be my favorite part of all 4 years. I really don't want to go back next Monday, I said quietly. Chris looked at me for a moment. Well, fortunately for you, he said with a smirk. That's a lot of time to play Rock Band. I smiled. How long do you think we'll be able to keep the band together? The Unicorns, he asked. Yeah, I mean, how long will the 4 of us be able to meet up a few times a year and play Rock Band in this basement? Well, when I graduate, the Army can send me anywhere in the world. Might be hard to stick together after that. Yeah, I figured as much, I said, looking down at my shoes. Chris put his hand on my shoulder. A band isn't great because it lasts, he said. The best part of every band is the song list they leave behind. The band may not live forever, but the songs do. Plus all the memories associated with these songs. They'll be with you, me, Keith, and Delyn for the rest of our lives. I never thought of it that way, I said. It's true. Say It Ain't So, In Bloom, and hundreds of others are going to follow you around forever. Life sucks sometimes, but the good thing is no matter what, it goes on. Even when the Crazy Unicorns break up, your show will go on, and you'll always have the songs. He had a point. I could already think of several life stories inspired by or related to Rock Band songs, and there were many more songs and stories to go. I smiled. Thanks, man. That's really good to hear, I said. We both heard the upstairs door open, signaling the return of Keith and Delyn. Anytime, brother, he said. Now enough of the sentimental nonsense. Let's get our band together and play some rock and roll. Funny story, I went to go visit Chris and Delyn in Rhode Island in January. And Chris makes a mean Long Island iced tea that is exclusively liquor. Which I guess they usually are, but his is like strong liquor. It has like 7 shots in it or something crazy. So we were all hanging out, and Chris is like, he will always drink, and he's one of my biggest champions of my endeavors and my book and everything. And he's like, your book's great. You need to get it into the hands of some of the bands that are in that book. I think they're really gonna like it. And I was like, okay, how do we do that from your living room? It's like, go on Twitter. I was like, oh cool, very prominent social media platform these days. And tag every band in a post about how you wrote a book about them. So I did that, and that's what we did for 3 hours. To no avail. And then I woke up the next day and I was like, why did we do that? And Delyn was like, did you not know Chris was drunk from that idea? That's not gonna work out. So that's the final story I'm gonna tell today, and I think it just summarizes the book really well and summarizes life really well. And I guess I'll break this news now. I've started my next book. I'm over 100 pages in. I don't have too many details to share at the moment because books are ever changing. I really like the idea that it's going with so far. It's obviously subject to change. It could be completely different when it comes out. But I'm really proud to be writing it, and I'm appreciative that all of you in this room and several other people who couldn't be here today are supportive enough to make me think I could do this a second time. So thank you very much. Really appreciate it. If you've read the book, if you bought the book on Amazon, go on Goodreads, go on Amazon.com, leave a good review. It really escalates the game. John is my man with deals and all the internet hacks, so he's like, it's like, what if we had this guy buy it? Okay, now you send him a review that you've received via text, and he will write that review and post it. John's the man for that. So thank you, John. John also, the last Rock Band party he came to, he sold 6 books on New Year's Eve.
What a
Salesman. Thanks, you rube.
Hey, you got a book yet? Take one. I was like, oh, thanks, it's a free book. He's like, no, you got a Venmo one.
Free book, yeah. So, yeah, all right. So I'm going to close this the same way I did at the last one. I played the song Good Riddance by Green Day, which I'm going to do now. And then I did a little tricky medley that I added very spontaneously. And I got a standing ovation, which you don't need to do. Don't feel obligated to do that. That's totally fine. I haven't even finished or started the song, Mother. But several people reached out and said, like, when are you doing the medley again? Like, what? They haven't even asked about the book. They haven't brought up the book. They bought the book. They haven't talked about reading the book or anything. They're like, what's the deal with that medley? When is that coming to a public forum again? And then my father called yesterday spontaneously to tell me that Vince Vaughn's first movie was Rudy, super important. And then I was working on the medley, and he said it was too long last time. Too long, shave it down. And then I told that to 3 people today, and all of them said, it needs to be longer.
Wrong.
Too bad, old man, I'm gonna do it anyway. All right, so this is a song by Green Day, and I made sure to not repeat any songs from last time. This is all improvised. Join in with song lyrics and whatever you know, sing along. Let's get this going. Someone's filming this somewhere, I'm sure. Like this is gonna go insane one day. Viral.
Another turning point, fork stuck in the road. Time grabs you by the wrist, directs you where to go. So make the best of this task and don't ask why. It's not a question but a lesson learned in time. It's something unpredictable, but in the end is right. I hope you had the time of your life. So take the photographs and still frames in your mind. Hang it on a shelf in good health and good time. Tattoos of memories and dead skin on trial. For what it's worth, it was worth all the while. It's something unpredictable, but in the end is right. I hope you had the time of your life.
All right, here we go. Part everyone asked for. All improvised. Sing along if you know it.
Give me therapy. I'm a walking travesty. But I'm smiling through everything. Welcome to wherever you are. This is your life. You made it this far. I said welcome. Gotta believe that right here, right now, you're exactly where you're supposed to be. Just a small town girl, living in a lonely world. She took the midnight train going anywhere. Just a city boy, born and raised in South Detroit. She took the midnight train going anywhere. Take on but now, whoa, I'm thinking what the hell. All I want is to mess around, and I don't really care about if you love me, if you hate me, you can save me, baby, baby. I'm your biggest fan, I'll follow you until you love me. Paparazzi, there's no other superstar, you know that I will always, I'll be paparazzi. I'm not crazy, I'm just a little unwell. I know right now you can't tell. Let me know when I've done wrong, when I've known this all along. Come around a time or two, just erase my take me home. Country roads to the place I belong. West Virginia, Mountain Mama, take me home. Country roads. My time on my ride. Oh, 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 I'm falling, so I'm taking my time on my ride. again, do it again, and the sun will set for you, and the sun will set for you, and the shadow of the day will embrace the world in gray, and the sun will set for you, and I'll go where you go. Did we ever be this close forever and ever? And take me out, you're my high. When it hits me that she's gone, I think I'll run for president, put my face up on $1 million bill. When she finally moves on to a rich guy who can't take care of her, I'll find a way to be there with her still. Here I go, scream my lungs out and try to get to you. You are my only one I let go. There's just no one who gets me like you do. You are my only one. My blood, my soul is my enemy. My love, my life is poison to me. I cannot help what we're supposed to be. Got no choice, no voice, I have no dignity. Now that I'm older, I just wanna hold her. I'd give up all the world to see that little piece of heaven looking back at me. What do you got if you ain't got love? Whatever you got just ain't enough. You're walking the road, but you're going nowhere. Try to find your way home, but there's no one there. Who do you hold in the dark at night? You wanna give up, but it's worth the fight. Can you have all the things that you've been dreaming of? Show yourself, take only what you need from it. A city of trees running to be on it. I wanna get him back. I wanna make him feel jealous, wanna make him feel bad. I wanna get him back, cause you know I really miss him and it makes me feel sad. I want sweet revenge and I want him again. I wanna get him back, cause you know I really miss him and it makes me feel sad. I think I'm on another world with you. I am on another planet with you. Sha-la-la, East Jersey girls are always total heartbreakers. Shooting from the Wonder Bar, I still wonder where you are. Buy me a letter tomorrow. Tonight I can't hold a pen. Someone got a stamp that I can borrow. I don't remember the words to this part. It's the end of the world as we know it. It's the end of the world as we know it. It's the end of this song as we know it. And I feel fine. It's something unpredictable, but in the end is right. I hope you had the time of your life. Wake me up when September ends. need to do it. Don't need to do it again. They're in the bathroom and clapping. Thank you all for being here. This is a lovely turnout. I'm really happy with how it went, and Kyle's going to edit the footage together, and we're going to make a movie. A blockbuster Martin Scorsese-styled Last Waltz movie out of this. Thank you for being here. We're about to play Rock Band and drink some more beer. Let's hang out. Let's party. Let's go. Thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you.